satisfy God's Son? How can illusion satisfy God's Son? How can illusion satisfy God's Son? How can illusion satisfy God's Son? Well, thank you all so much for joining me today. This is Willie from the Ozarks, forgiveness teacher of anybody who wants to learn about forgiveness and miracles. We're ready for lesson 271 in A Course in Miracles workbook for or 272 in A Course in Miracles workbook for students from the original edition here on Friday, September 29th of 2023. How can illusion satisfy God's Son? Father, the truth belongs to me. My home is set in heaven by your will and mine. Can dreams content me? Can illusions bring me happiness? What but your memory can satisfy your Son? What but your memory can satisfy your Son? I will accept no less than you have given me. I am surrounded by your love, forever still, forever gentle, and forever safe. God's Son must be as you created him. Today we pass illusions by, and if we hear temptation call to us to stay and linger in a dream, we turn aside and ask ourselves if we, the sons of God, could be content with dreams when heaven can be chosen just as easily as hell, and love will happily replace all fear. How can illusion satisfy God's Son? And our associated reading is, what is the Christ? Christ is God's Son as he created him. He is the self we share, uniting us with one another and with God as well. He's the thought which still abides within the mind that is his source. He has not left his holy home nor lost the innocence in which he was created. He abides unchanged forever in the mind of God. Christ is the link that keeps you one with God and guarantees that separation is no more than an illusion of despair, for hope forever will abide in him. Your mind is part of his and his of yours. He is the part in which God's answer lies, where all decisions are already made and dreams are over. He remains untouched by anything the body's eyes perceive. For though in him his Father placed the means for your salvation, yet does he remain the self who, like his Father, knows no sin. Home of the Holy Spirit and at home in God alone, does Christ remain at peace within the heaven of your holy mind. This is the only part of you that has reality and truth. The rest is dreams. Yet will these dreams be given unto Christ, to fade before his glory and reveal your holy self, the Christ, to you at last. The Holy Spirit reaches from the Christ in you to all your dreams, and bids them come to him to be translated into truth. He will exchange them for the final dream which God appointed as the end of dreams. For when forgiveness rests upon the world, and peace has come to every son of God, what could remain to keep things separate? For what remains to see except Christ's face? And how long will this holy face be seen, when it is but the symbol that the time for learning now is over, and the goal of the atonement has been reached at last? So therefore let us seek to find Christ's face and look on nothing else. And therefore let us seek to find Christ's face and look on nothing else. As we behold his glory, will we know we have no need of learning, or perception, or of time, or anything, except the Holy Self, the Christ whom God created as his Son. How can illusions satisfy God's Son? Take that with you today. Think about it throughout the day, every hour of the day. Try to bring it to your memory. Write it down, put it in your pocket so you can remember it. And if you forget it, pull it out and look at it. Find something to give thanks about during that hour. See how that idea fits into the things that are happening in that hour. Apply it with a smile. Find the joy, find the good, find God. Every hour today, do that. That's the way we want to proceed in A Course in Miracles, is keep the thoughts relevant to the day that we're living. And then be sure to take your longer practice period morning and evening, where you sit in the silence, entering it and exiting it with the thought, how can illusion satisfy God's Son? Okay, let's go look in our text reading. And we left off on paragraph 22 in chapter 28, The Undoing of Fear, section Roman numeral 3, reversing effect and cause. And we read paragraph 22. We'll read it again, and we'll pick up right there. As you're turning there, what on earth is going on today? Well, Ask a Stupid Question Day. My grandpa, B.J. Bernard Julius Hebink, he always said, there is no such thing as a stupid question. And he would go on a little further. He said, well, the only stupid question is the one you don't ask. Broadway Musicals Day. And I might say that my grandpa was probably my first guru. I still live by a lot of things that he taught me. Confucius Day. Here's some good Confucius sayings that go along with our Course in Miracles ideas. Before you embark on a journey of revenge, dig 2 graves. One for you and the person that you're on your revenge path towards. But dig your own grave too when you have revenge. Let no root of bitterness spring up and cause defilement. That's out of the Bible, 2 Corinthians, I think. To be wronged is nothing unless you continue to remember it. Silence is a true friend who never betrays. So anyway, it's Confucius Day. German Butterbrot Day, and that's basically buttered bread. Happy Goose Day, also known as Michaelmas, which Pope Felix III in 480 started this particular celebrating the Archangel Michael. And it later on became the elected English Magistrates Day for elections. Hug a Vegetarian Day, or a vegan, or anybody. Just give someone a hug. Hug a Vegetarian Day, International Coffee Day, National Coffee Day, and National Mocha Day. And I found this about coffee on the Johns Hopkins University website, hopkinsmedicine.org. Caffeine is the first thing that comes to mind when you think of coffee, but coffee also contains antioxidants and other substances that may reduce internal inflammation and protect against disease. So, maybe a balance of it has some good values. I know a lot of people used to use coffee enemas or coffee colonics to get the bowels to get them moving. Inventors Day, all you inventors got a day. MAGS Day, which is the Memphis Archaeological and Geological Society Day. Mutation Day for all you Ninja Turtle fans. National Attend Your Grandchild's Birthday Day, and encourages grandparents to be involved in their children's and their grandchildren's births. I've been at we had most of our children at home, and some of my kids had their children in such a way that they invited me to come be part of bringing the baby into the world. National Biscotti Day, crunchy Italian cookies since the 16th century. National Poisoned Blackberry Day. And they say that after the feast of Michaelmas, do not eat blackberries, and all that is just that they get old in the year and they're full of bugs and probably not too good for you. But if you find a ripe one that looks good, eat it. It's nothing wrong with it. Save a koala bear. Those are the Phascolarctos cinereus, Australian marsupial herbivores, the koala bears. Sport purple for Platelets Day, and that's the ITP, idiopathic thrombocytopenic purpura, which is a disease that causes bleeding and bruising due to low levels of platelets. But I found this I thought was interesting. The perfect fusion of calm stability, this is talking about purple, the perfect fusion of calm stability, of the calm stability of blue, with the fierce energy of red, purple is said to have the power to uplift, calm nerves, and encourage peace. Isn't that something? I thought that was kind of cool. VFW Day. Thank you for your service, all you veterans of foreign war. World Heart Day, and it's basically a cardiovascular disease awareness day, but it reminds me of one of the Confucius sayings. It says, wherever you go, go with all your heart. And it reminds me of a proverb that's in our Bible that says, whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with all thy might. Anyway, put your heart into things. Live your passion. I want to tell you about another blackberry, since it's, this blackberry, poisoned blackberry day. And this is a blackberry we've already talked about, but I thought it's such a nice blackberry that I'd encourage people to grow it. It's called Prime Arc Freedom Thornless blackberry. And it says the Prime Arc Freedom is the first thornless primocane fruiting blackberry. I like the idea that it's thornless, but that it fruits twice in a year, early in the spring and then late in the fall. A blackberry usually grows 1 year and doesn't fruit until the following season. Freedom fruits this way very early in the season. From the last year's canes, it fruits real early in the season, but then fruits again in the fall where the climate is suitable. Should be all the way through the Ozarks, should be suitable. As far as I understand. Freedom also has exceptional fruit size, good flavor, and the plant grows upright and needs little or no staking. Zones 6 through 8, space 5-foot circles or 5 foot apart. And that's your Prime Arc Freedom Blackberry. And you know what? I've had a hard time finding the species. It's a Rupus cross, and it's known as Freedom, in quotes, capital F for Freedom. Plant patent APF-153T or plant patent 2699, not 0. Anyway, be aware that it is plant patent. That's not one of the things I like about it, but I do like the idea that it fruits twice a year. That's kind of cool. Okay, let's go take a look in paragraph 22 of chapter 28. Keep in mind today, how can illusion satisfy God's Son? The miracle establishes you dream a dream and that its content is not true. This is a crucial step in dealing with illusions. No one is afraid of them when he perceives he made them up. The fear was held in place because he did not see that he was author of the dream and not a figure in the dream. He gives himself the consequences which he dreams he gave his brother. And it is but this the dream has put together and has offered him to show him that his wishes have been done. Thus does he fear his own attack, but sees it at another's hands. As victim he is suffering from its effects, but not their cause. He authored not his own attack, and he is innocent of what he caused. The miracle does nothing but to show him that he has done nothing. What he fears is cause without the consequences which would make it cause. What he fears is cause without the consequences which would make it cause. And so it never was. 23. The separations started with the dream. The Father was deprived of his effects and powerless to keep them, since he was no longer their creator. In the dreamer made himself, but what he made has turned against him, taking on the role of its creator as the dreamer had. And as he hated his creator, so the figures in the dream have hated him. His body is their slave, which they abuse because the motives he has given it have they adopted as their own, and hate it for the vengeance he would offer them. It is their vengeance on the body which appears to prove the dreamer could not be the maker of the dream. Effect and cause are first split off and then reversed, so that effect becomes a cause and cause effect. Try to catch this. Let me back up a few sentences, read it again. His body is their slave, which they abuse because the motives he has given it have they adopted as their own, and hate it for the vengeance it would offer them. It is their vengeance on the body which appears to prove the dreamer could not be the maker of the dream. Effect and cause are first split off and then reversed, so that effect becomes a cause and cause effect. 24. This is the separation's final step, with which salvation, which proceeds to go the other way, begins. This is the separation's final step, with which salvation, which proceeds to go the other way, begins. This final step is an effect of what has gone before, appearing as a cause. The miracle is the first step in giving back to cause the function of causation, not effect. For this confusion has produced the dream, and while it lasts, will wakening be feared. Nor will the call to wakening be heard, because it seems to be the call to fear. 25. Like every lesson which the Holy Spirit requests you learn, the miracle is clear. It demonstrates what He would have you learn and shows you its effects are what you want. In His forgiving dreams are the effects of yours undone, and hated enemies perceived as friends with merciful intents. It's all our value system. We want to value seeing the innocence in each other so we can begin to dream it, and which will allow us to awaken because we won't be afraid of what's coming towards us. And remember, whatever you send out, if you hate somebody, that's the dream. That's what you're valuing, and that's going to come to you to bite you in the behind. Their enemy is seen as causeless now because they did not make it. And you can accept the role of maker of their hate because you see that it has no effects. Now are you freed from this much of the dream? The world is neutral, and the bodies which still seem to move about as separate things need not be feared, and so they are not sick. 26. The miracle returns the cause of fear to you who made it, but it also shows that having no effects, it is not cause, because the function of causation is to have effects. And where effects are gone, there is no cause. Thus is the body healed by miracles, because they show the mind made sickness and employed the body to be victim or effect of what it made. Yet half the lesson will not teach the whole. The miracle is useless if you learn but that the body can be healed. For this is not the lesson it was sent to teach. The lesson is the mind was sick, that thought the body could be sick. So the lesson is the mind was sick, that thought the body could be sick, projecting out its guilt, caused nothing, and had no effects. So let's back up here. The miracle is useless if you learn but that the body can be healed. For this is not the lesson it was sent to teach. So even, yes, the body can be healed by right-mindedness, but don't stop with that. The miracle is useless if you learn but that the body can be healed, for this is not the lesson it was sent to teach. The lesson is the mind was sick that thought the body could be sick, projecting out its guilt, caused nothing, and had no effects. And the last paragraph, paragraph 27, this world is full of miracles. They stand in shining silence next to every dream of pain and suffering, of sin and guilt. They are the dream's alternative. miracles, the dream's alternative. The choice to be the dreamer rather than deny the active role in making up the dream. The world is full of miracles. They stand in shining silence next to every dream of pain and suffering, of sin and guilt. They are the dream's alternative. The choice to be the dreamer rather than deny the active role in making up the dream. Instead of it being done to you, take a little charge, a little responsibility. You're a miracle worker now. And you can say, you know what, I'm going to envision something sweeter, something where there's no one's guilty in my perception. I'm going to see a healed world, a happy world, a whole world where the Holy Spirit's in charge. This world is full of miracles. They stand in shining silence next to every dream of pain and suffering, of sin and guilt. They are the dream's alternative. The choice to be the dreamer rather than deny the active role in making up the dream. They are the glad effects of taking back the consequences of sickness to its cause. The body is released because the mind acknowledges this is not done to me, but I am doing this. The body is released because the mind acknowledges this is not done to me, but I am doing this. Wow, can we say that? And thus the mind is free to make another choice instead. Beginning here, salvation will proceed to change the course of every step in the descent to separation until all the steps have been retraced, the ladder gone, and all the dreaming of the world undone. There's what we want to do. Okay, our lesson again, how can illusions satisfy God's Son? Father, the truth belongs to me. My home is set in heaven by your will and mine. Can dreams content me? Can illusions bring me happiness? What but your memory can satisfy your Son? I will accept no less than you have given me. I am surrounded by your love, forever still, forever gentle, and forever safe. God's Son must be as you created him. How can illusions satisfy God's Son? Today we pass illusions by, and if we hear temptation call to us to stay and linger in a dream, we turn aside and ask ourselves if we, the sons of God, could be content with dreams, when heaven can be chosen just as easily as hell, and love will happily replace all fear. Okay, how can illusions satisfy God's Son? Thanks again for joining me out here today under this nice big red oak tree. Nice big old red oak tree. Satisfy God's Son. How can illusions satisfy God's Son? How can illusions satisfy God's Son? What is the Christ? What is the Christ? Christ is God's Son as He created Him. He is the self we share, uniting us with one another and with God as well. He is the thought which still abides within the mind. Within the mind that is His source. He has not left His holy home. Christ has not left His holy He abides unchanged forever in the mind of God. He abides unchanged forever in the mind of God. He abides unchanged forever in the mind of God. Christ abides unchanged forever in the mind of God. He abides unchanged forever in the mind of God. Christ is the link that keeps you one with God and guarantees that separation is no more than an illusion of despair. For hope will ever abide in him. For hope will forever abide in him. Hope will forever abide in him. For hope will ever abide in him. Your mind is part of his and his of yours. Your mind is part of his and his of yours. Christ's mind is part of you. Your mind is part of his and his of yours. Christ's mind is part of his and his of yours. Your mind is part of Christ's and Christ's of yours. Your mind is part of God's and God's of yours. For hope will ever abide in him. Your mind is part of his and his of yours. How can illusion satisfy God's Son? 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 Particularly when he gets a little taste of the totally satisfying taste of reality. How can illusions satisfy God's Son?